Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Eric Rosen, and this is the show, Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology, where I cover a daily astrological horoscope that also teaches you some really basic astrology along the way. Why Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology? Well, just a little recap. This is what we did in grade school. Like, the teacher was like, the big hand goes here, the little hand goes here. When we were wanting to learn clock time, like, that felt very overwhelming to a kindergartner or whatever that was that we learned it. And so this is kind of the same thing when we look at astrology as adults, like for the first time. Like, what are all these numbers? What are all these names mean? There's degrees, there's all this just like craziness going on. And so this is the show where I actually just like break it down into some more like basic, simple to understand terms. And so I don't overwhelm anyone with what's going on, but then also still give you an opportunity to see like, what's the forecast for the day? Like, what can you work with constructively throughout your day? And so the show is now taken on the focus of really looking at what's going on, especially with Mercury, because Mercury deals with our minds, right? It deals with thought, it deals with communication, it deals with understanding, it deals with facts. Like, this is where most of us live. Like, we think about what we're going to do, we think about what's going to make us happy. There's a lot of tremendous stuff in astrology, big picture wise, that shows us that there are other ways to, to deal with life. But because most of us are dealing with this is really what we want to take a look at and see how we can work constructively with this. And so Mercury is meant to be this neutral planet. It's not meant to look at things as positive or negative. It's just meant to, like, let me just objectively look at the facts. But the thing is that Mercury, depending on what zodiac sign it's in or what interaction it's making, right? What geometric aspect it's making, it's going to take on more positive qualities, or it's going to take on these more challenging, like harsh qualities. And so when it's in Scorpio, it's taking on some harsher qualities. So the planets that actually deal with Scorpio is Mars and Pluto. Pluto's kind of like the Grim Reaper, transformation, like death, like what do you need to end? But look, I'm not a bad guy and coming here to end things so that you can move forward on new things. With Mars, because it's this edgy, intense energy, like let's go, let's charge forward and take action. But the thing is that, Mercury in Scorpio is here to say, let's get the truth, because Scorpio deals with truth, true power, true desire. But how can you pursue your truth or go for true desire if you're actually hanging on to things that are blocking you from doing that? Because the thing is that there are certain things in our lives that we have to end. We have to end relationships that aren't in alignment with our truth, situations that aren't within the boundaries of our truth, because Scorpio also deals with boundaries. And so, when Mercury is retrograde too, like it is, this is really going from like looking outward in the world to like really looking within. And so when you have a planet that deals with looking within, when it goes retrograde, and the sign that deals with looking deep down within at our deepest truth, like even if it means facing our deepest fears, because we face our fears in Scorpio, like this is where we really understand like what is it that you really want out of life. And we did get that message when the Sun and Mercury met up earlier last week. And so the thing is that we already know what it is. So there's one of two things that's happening here. Either we're still sitting on the couch trying to figure things out, feels like nothing's moving forward, we're not creating anything. It's because you're either afraid of the truth to go do something, or if you took my advice last week and just went and tried something, now you're going to be getting the feedback, the facts. Because here's the thing, Mars was at 26 degrees, making this friendly 60-degree angle, right? 60 degrees means they're friends. So Jupiter, 26 Sagittarius, this is 30 degrees per zodiac sign, so 30 times 12 zodiacs, 360-degree circle. So 30, 60 degrees is how I got that. Mars in Libra is like, I really want to move forward. I'm intense. Let's take action. But Libra is like, I want to wait things out. I want to find peace. I want to find harmony. Like, let's go watch a sunset with like relationships. Mars is like, no. Like, let's go. Let's go do some stuff. And so when it becomes friends with Jupiter, like it did, Jupiter's like, hey man, like, there's a ton of like awesome positivity and prosperity from just going and having experiences in life, man. Like, just go and have fun, have experiences. That's what we do with Jupiter and Sagittarius. Like, it can be overwhelming, the experiences, but when Jupiter gets to 26 degrees like this, before it enters into Capricorn, this is an area where it really delivers. This is like, kind of like Santa Claus, like delivering presents. And so it's like, dude, let's just go do something. So if you went and you did that thing, now you're getting feedback on what can change. And so for me, for example, I started this whole big hand, little hand astrology thing, just like, I don't really know, but I'm just gonna go try this. And now look, I got the feedback in a dream of all things last night that I wanted to focus on more of these things with the mind, because, you know, if you're falling into like obsession, if you're falling into trying to manipulate things, like if there's stuff that you know that's going on in your life where it's like, no, it's got to be this way, I've got to have it like that, and I'll do anything to have it this way. That's obsession. And guess what? Like, you will get it in Scorpio, because we do attain things like with that. And so whatever it is that you're searching for, but it's like, is it in alignment with your truth? And so, like, I'm showing now what's going on with the mind, but I got that feedback from just trying something new, right? Just trying and going and having an experience. And so I hope that you're all on that boat of you just went and had the experience. If not, you're sitting on the couch trying to figure things out. So, but that's okay, because there are still opportunities. I want to stress that. Like, it's not doom and gloom. So big hand, little hand style, we've got this 60-degree angle. So Mercury and Saturn are friends. Saturn in Capricorn deals with achievement, recognition, but also things like discipline and boundaries, and really just showing up and managing your time. And so when you're friends like this, Saturn, that's also another harsh energy, just like Mercury and Scorpio, makes the truth kind of like seem harsh. Saturn's like, hey, I'm kind of harsh too. Like, I'm going to make you work, you know, for your achievement. But you know what? We're friends. So it's like, if you put in the work and you move towards something that is truly in alignment with what you really, really freaking want, like, dude, I am going to deliver. If you commit, I guarantee you that I'm going to deliver everything that it is that you're looking for, because Saturn will always deliver, but it's going to deliver in a way that like feels good for us, but also gives us the achievement. And so we feel not only physically fulfilled with whatever we get, but emotionally fulfilled if we show up in the integrity of our truth. So there's a lot of positivity there, even though these are, you know, harsh things, but they're harsh things that are friends. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to take the approach now of not just the big hand, little hand, so like the minute hand, the hour hand, but also bring in the seconds hand. So imagine this is seconds, this is minutes, and this is hours. Because really, when we look at a clock, what's the most important thing? Like, what's the hour, right? What's the strongest thing that we're looking at here, which is Neptune at 15 degrees in Pisces, which deals with spirituality. We've got our minute hand, so the second strongest component here is Venus, dealing with relationships at 15 degrees in Sagittarius. So what experiences, what adventures are you going on with people. And then the second hand is the moon, which deals with our emotions, and then Gemini deals with intellectual curiosity. So it's like, I'm curious to go experience something that's going to make me feel good emotionally. And so it's the second hand I used here because the moon moves so quickly, our emotions are so fleeting that really this is like the same thing. The second hand like moves the fastest. And so what we have here is two 90-degree interactions. So what that means is that Neptune is actually getting challenged by two different people right now. It's getting challenged by our emotions and it's getting challenged by our relationships, but opportunity for growth. And so what it's saying is like, okay, there's a lot of tremendous spiritual potential here, but are you linking up with amazing partnerships and projects and even ways of making money or self-worth, all things Venus deals with? Are you going on that experience, and are you doing it with people that are really in alignment with your truth? Because this is where you're really going to reach the highest spiritual levels and feel this just emotional fulfillment that you couldn't otherwise imagine is possible unless you're making sure you're with the right people and doing the right projects as well. And then on the other end of it too, it's like, are we looking at, okay, I want to be emotionally stimulated, but are you being emotionally stimulated just for the sake of being emotionally stimulated? You know, are you just going here to get your rocks off with some weird obsession with Mercury and Scorpio? And so we're taking a deeper look at that. We're taking a look at how this encounter is forming, how this interaction is forming, where it's like, all right, are we rising up to the spiritual truth of the people that we're connected with? Because there's an element of like, I would almost say like spiritual window shopping if we're in alignment with the truth and the people, because we're looking at, what do I want to find that's stimulating and fulfill me emotionally? This is where like you're doing the work and you're getting clear. And so now there's all of a sudden these new possibilities, because there are no boundaries with Neptune, especially in its home sign in Pisces, even though it is in its retrograde motion. So we're looking at this feeling this very internalized spiritual aspect, like deep down inside, feeling what's possible. Or are we just like doing the weird obsession thing? And so we can be curious of what could fulfill us and not being attached to it at the same time, because we don't want to get attached with the Scorpio stuff. Are we afraid to own the truth and getting obsessed with chasing maybe what's leaving, right? Because this is relationships, and so it's like, are you still trying to have like new experiences with things that are actually not in alignment with truth? This is like when we're this spiritual window shopping, when it's like, okay, but then the angry parent like comes and pulls us like away from the window, and really the angry parent is like actually representative of like our fears of not facing what it is that we really truly want in life because we're afraid to let go of things. And I think it comes from Saturn as well, looking at, okay, you know, are we just getting hung up in this old way of looking for truth outside of ourselves? Because Saturn in Capricorn very much deals with authority. And so are we looking for the old antiquated answers? Because things are getting antiquated here when Saturn and Pluto meet up next year. A lot of change going on. Are we still looking for answers outside of ourselves, or are we looking for these answers within? Because otherwise, we're going to get pulled away from either what could fulfill us, or we're going to be looking at some really limited possibilities that are just a different flavor of the same things that we just haven't let go of. And so, that's a deep one. Now, this last thing I wanted to talk about is important, and I can't really draw it big hand, little hand style, but it's important because this is almost like where astrologers call this the finger of God, believe it or not. This is where a certain geometric aspect is making, where it's like God or the universe is like pointing, like, pay attention to this, like, please pay attention to this. And so we've got this 60-degree interaction that we talked about earlier between Saturn and Mercury. But then we've also got this 150-degree, so a misunderstanding between Mercury and the moon in Gemini, and then another 150 degrees from Saturn to the moon. So this is a weird looking triangle, but I want you to imagine that what this is really doing is like pointing here, like everything's pointing at the moon, at our emotions. And so Mercury is saying like, hey, are you seeing the truth? Saturn's saying, are you going to grow up emotionally? So this is about being innocent and curious about what we could have, but it's innocent curiosity based on the truth and the destiny of like being in our own authority. Like, are we really being our own authority and looking at like, this is what I want to fulfill me emotionally. Like, this is like what I can have, not what someone else tells me that I can have, or not having the same old like crappy flavor of like what we're not willing to let go with Mercury and Scorpio, like still going over and like analyzing the numbers and crunching the data over and over again. Like, guys, like, it's not going to change. Like, you just got to go have the experience. Like, there's so much tremendous opportunity and growth here with Jupiter. And so I'm going to end the video with that. You know, those are some really deep things that I wanted to cover today with this whole finger of God aspect, and then also those 290-degree aspects, because those are big deals in astrology. Like, these are rare, very rare things that happen. The finger of God is the most rare. But what this is all like relating back down to, just to recap, is we can let our perspective create or destroy, basically, on how we choose to use our minds. And so the destructive aspect is when is the obsession and the attachment and not ending things and not moving away from things in Scorpio. The creative aspect is, oh wow, okay, I see my truth, I'm willing to accept it. Saturn wants to help me achieve it. There are some really great emotional fulfillment possibilities that can come out of it. Neptune's in there wanting to help, like, connect to this more invisible divine aspect and things. And so it's really just up to us. Like, this that I'm describing here today is the proof that I feel that there's no such thing as a victim. That while you can look at astrology and be like, okay, this is setting up for a very harsh aspect, but it's like, what are you going to do with this from here? And I think part of it is like looking at, okay, this is what's going on with the mind, just this microcosm aspect of like our perception of reality, but letting go of the control of the mind and then seeing what's going on in the rest of astrology and seeing the bigger picture, that there is impermanence, that things change, that things shift, but that there's also a predestined aspect, and that we don't have to grip onto the control and the attachment and the obsession to things that just are trying to get pulled out of your life anyway. And the thing is that I'd say for 80% of the people, it's going to get pulled out. It's going to get pulled out no matter what. And so you can do it willingly and accept the truth, or you can do it like kicking and screaming, like maybe to your grave. Like, sounds kind of crazy, but Scorpio deals with death. And so I'm not suggesting that that anyone's necessarily going to die, but maybe it's a slow death, kind of like a poison drip. Like, obsessions are just not healthy. They are the deepest layer of attachments, and it's attachment to anything, no matter what it is, that every great spiritual teacher has ever shown us is the challenge. And so I'm gonna marker drop on that. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We got kind of deep, a little bit deep on some stuff today, but this was for November 14th, Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology. You guys can get these daily horoscope videos, some other awesome weekly content over at the Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology Facebook group. It's free for the first 7 days. It's $9.97 a month after that. I will announce here pretty soon when I'm going to officially transition all the content over to there. And so you will not be seeing this for free on a day-to-day basis, but you can head over and get your free trial of Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology. And if you're interested in like learning more about astrology than I can teach in a daily horoscope, I'm doing a set of classes. The first one is going to be November 26th. It's a Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30 at Limelight Events in St. Charles, Missouri. Just getting into the very beginnings, the basic building blocks of astrology, far more basic than what I could even do here. So thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.